Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Welcome to the Fly With Us podcast. This podcast is bringing the art of conversation, self-love, self-care, mental health care and protection, life lessons, love lessons, and everything in between. Today, we're going to finish out our women series by talking about women in motherhood. We have a fabulous panel of women who are in different stages of motherhood, so this should be a really good conversation. I'm your girl, Lady Bounce.
And I am Picket Fence. Today's Mindfulness Minute is called Connection with Intuition. I set aside information and entertainment. I reconnect with my intuitive self, with deeper dimensions of human life. We live in an age that values information for the sake of information, even when that information can be misleading or false. We live in a world of constant updates and perpetual connections. Little attention gets paid to what is lost in this information regime. We lose connection to the intuitive, contemplative side of human experience. Real-world relationships suffer due to technological distractions. Intergenerational knowledge falls by the wayside in 5-minute news cycles. We know more about celebrities than we have ever known, celebrities that we have never met. We know more about them than we do about our relatives or our next door neighbors. We must work hard to recover the connection to the intuitive side of life. This happens when we purposefully disconnect from media for at least part of the day. Today, silence your smartphones and turn off your alerts on your computer. Pay deep attention to your own mind and heart. If you must interact with written word, let it be something that you write from your own hands or your own computer, or better yet, on a sheet of blank paper. Word up.
Word up. So we have
now,
all of the ladies here. Ladies. I guess we'll just get right into it. Pickett, you go first.
Okay. Let's start the show off by saying, and anybody can take this. How would you define motherhood?
It's the worst hood I've ever been in. Motherhood is ghetto.
I'm going to tell you, for me, it's been a learning experience. I had my children very young when I was still in high school, so I grew up with them. Oh. And so with that whole process, I have evolved in being a mother to where I was that young girl that was trying to find my way, trying to figure things out and doing the very best that I could with what I had. And then once I started believing that, I found a direction and connected to like a spiritual community. Like I got myself heavily immersed in that. And then as I got older, I started, just finding different ways, different patterns. I started really noticing a lot of patterns that are in life. And I had a lot of friends around me that were older than I was. And so I started seeing how life happens cyclically. And I started looking at who I was as an individual and realized that I wanted better for my girls. And so with that, I started going to school and started trying to be the example. However, in that learning experience, you also recognize that your voice and your influence isn't the only one that your children are impressed by. And so with that, if I could go back and redo the time that I had with my girls when they were growing up, I think that I would have focused more of my time with that. So for me, because I was so young raising my children, it was definitely a learning experience. And so for me, motherhood was definitely a point of growth for me.
This is Jamica. Excuse me. I would describe motherhood as really being a nurturer and a giver of life, but also understanding that you help to shape the life of our future, leaders, community members, to ensure that You equip them with enough resources that they can be make a contribution to their community, wherever that community is. And motherhood, I would describe as really just a life of trials and tribulations, ups and downs, wins, losses, successes, and a whole bunch of failures. There are so many books on motherhood, but until you become a mother, you really don't. It's really a day-by-day thing, because you have to, according to the Word of God, raise your children up according to their personality, train a child up according to their personality. And being connected to a faith community, whatever that denomination is very important, because it's the community and other mothers who help you fine-tune what you're doing and give you advice when you really don't know what to do. So that's probably how I would describe motherhood.
Yeah, I'd have to say all of the above. Being I was a young mom too. I got married and had a baby in the same year when I was 21. So in my mind, I knew it all, right? I could do this. I was ready for this. I was not. And I think one of the things that we have to do as women is say it's okay that we don't know. And it's okay the things that we didn't know, that either we just didn't know because we didn't know, or we didn't know because we weren't shown. And I spent a lot of time when my kids were little. I was good. I'm like, okay. Once they got to school, like Chekesha said, and they started being around, other people and other influences, and I realized how little control that I actually have over these little people that I brought into the world. And then when we think about teaching our kids to be, strong and boisterous and have a voice and have an opinion, and that's all well and good until they throw those beautiful traits back in your face and you go, wait a minute, who told you to talk? Why did I teach you how to talk? Why did I teach you to have this opinion? Because once they hit those teenage years, when there's no book for how to really navigate that part. So like there's all these books, like, Jamica said, about motherhood and being a mother. But until you've been in it, those people that write those books don't know nothing. Because baby, this new generation of kid we have, I don't know where these kids came from. My daughter she's amazing and she's strong and she's opinionated. And then when that opinion comes back to like smack me in the face, I'm like, who are you, demon spawn? Where did you come from? But I realize that she's exactly how I raised her to be. And she's going to be a force, in this world because I've raised her that way. But sometimes that puts us in uncomfortable situations because she is a girl, because I am a girl. So trying to navigate, how to teach her how to do the right things and be strong and opinionated, but also be modest and be humble. And then she's like, well, you didn't teach me that part. And I'm like, right, I kind of did. So yeah, it's definitely it's a daily journey. It's full of ups and downs. I'm happy, I'm sad, I'm angry, I'm frustrated. They are my greatest joy and my greatest frustration all in one package. And then I work with teenagers, so I see some of the different parenting styles or lack of parenting styles and lack of parenting skills on the students that I teach, which sometimes it makes me go a little harder on my own kids so that they don't act like those kids. And that's not always fair. So I find myself doing a lot of apologizing too, going, I'm sorry, I was too hard on you. You're right. You're not little Johnny that's in my class. You're not little Tiffany that's over here wilding out on the internet. You're right. I got to give you that grace and that, apology and say, Mommy, sorry, but still, Mommy not playing.
Mm-hmm. Yes, all of that. Great afternoon, everyone. This is Yamika. Hey. Listen, I can laugh at this question all day and all night. Motherhood is stepping up to occasion when you don't want to. All right. And motherhood is forever being a student in life learned lessons through the lens of your children, because they teach us as well as we teach them. But just being a mother by God's calling first with my nephews rise to the occasion, because that's your role when you don't want that role to be. And it's always showing me levels of patience that I never thought I had.
Ooh.
I thought I had real patience. For real,
No.
for real. I say that ain't it. And then I learned that I have another level of patience that God's gonna give me, all right, just to have a level of compassion for myself, but also that compassion that I see with other women and their children. And you know, when we out in our grocery stores and we see the other kids wilding out, and you know, you get that eye contact with the other mother, and we know it's like that eye contact, but it's like, listen, I get it. You take care of that. And if you're one of those mothers who, you know, discipline your child right then and there, it's almost like you give each other that silo high five. You got this, Mom. You got this. Definitely, you know, on that level. But it's that level where you show the love that no one else can show, because your kids show you that unfound love, that level of true unconditional love through the lens of your child, and it's reciprocated back to you. That's what motherhood is about to me, is about for me. But it's always that unexpected thing that happens in motherhood. Duty calls, you at work. Duty calls when you doing you. Duty calls just whenever it happens, and you just gotta be ready. So motherhood is just on all levels and always unexpected.
Yeah. They always unexpected. Like, and being that mom in the grocery store, I have been that mom. My son used to throw some legendary tantrums in the store, and I would just look and go, somebody please help me. Y'all know what I'm doing. Somebody pick him up, give him a candy bar, give him something. Just, I don't know, give me a hug. If nothing else, because I don't know what I'm doing with this little creature. Like, and in that moment I go, he his daddy's son. Like, I don't know. I can't explain that man either. So yeah, I fully understand that. I have been that mom in the grocery store on both sides. Like, sister, you got it. It's okay. Just buy him some candy. I know it's 10 o'clock in the morning. Go and give him that Nestle bar. He'll be okay. He ain't gonna die.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone. I apologize. How's everyone?
Oh, it's all good. Good. We're all good. I'm good.
Awesome. I'm so happy to be here speaking about motherhood. Yes.
Yes, and thank you for joining us.
So all the ladies just went around and defined motherhood. So it's your turn. What is motherhood?
Okay, motherhood is actually kind of hard to define. It just kind of depends on basically really who you're asking. For me, motherhood is kind of one of those things because I used to be a dean of students. I was a mother to many people. Many of my students, I'm a mother to my cousin's children. I'm a mother to my neighbor's kids. I'm a mother to my children as well, and my kids' friends. You know, everybody calls me mama. You know, so it's all about community to me, and just being a mother. You have to have patience as a mother. You have to be kind as a mother. Not every mother's going to be the same. When I was growing up, I wish my mother sometimes was somebody else, only because I saw their parents and they got away with things that I wish I could get away with. You know, but now as I got older, I realized my mother did the best for me, protecting me and saying, no, you're not going to do what they did. They were allowed to go to parties when my parents kept me protected. So to me now, I see my mother was a great mother, you know, but at that time I couldn't see it, you know. So mothers mean different things to different people. There's no perfect parent, you know. So, but that's what I think about mothers. You know?
Word up.
Okay, so we know that there's no way to be prepared for motherhood. We've already defined that. But what's one thing that happened to you as a mother that you just were absolutely not ready for?
Ooh, let's see. One thing I was not prepared for. I have 2 different children. I have 2 girls. One child is very calm and never gave me any troubles at all. The other one, she gave me a lot of problems. It was basically due to mental health. And I was not prepared for that. I had to stay strong in that. And I had to be an advocate for her no matter what. I mean, the world was not going, I couldn't let her get away with anything because the world wouldn't see her as a person who had mental health problems. The police would not see her as a person who had mental health problems. And so I had to say, hey, listen, you have to understand what your problems are. I had her in therapy to understand what her triggers were. And now in life, she's understood what her problems are, and she understands that she has to deal with these things regardless, because society's not going to just say, hey, you have mental health issues. She has to deal with them in order to survive in society. So that's something that I didn't think that would happen to me as a mother. I thought everything was going to be okay, but no, it wasn't. It changed my life. But she has a testimony, and she's doing great as a mother now, even with her children, because she had help earlier in life, and I was not going to let her slide through the cracks. I refused as her mother.
Dope. Who else wants to go at that question?
This is Jamica. I think the most trying time of motherhood for me is when my second son was born. My boys are 2 years apart. They're now 12 and 14. And my oldest was 2 at the time. And man, I made motherhood look easy, y'all. Anybody who know me, Miss Yamika can attest to this. I'm very organized, a little anal about stuff. And so I had everything down to a T. The second little one, Malachi, he came, and boy, I was the most dysfunctional mother that you would have ever seen. They was looking like, dang, Jamica used to have it all together. What happened? And a lot of times at the time, my husband worked, most weekends. So when it came to doing stuff with the kids and going to church on Sunday, I was by myself. And I really felt like a single mother, to be honest. And because Malachi he wasn't a quiet baby. He would cry a lot, very active. We used to call him Bam Bam because he was strong, and he would just, not want to be just sitting still, in church or, anywhere. He wanted to get down and show people what he was working with, And I met Tobias, who was my oldest, and he was 2. He was quiet, a little bit more reserved. But that was the worst time of motherhood for me, because I didn't get it together probably until Malachi was probably a toddler, till he was actually walking. And then finally there was some relief and some organization. I was able to kind of get things back under control. But that was the worst. For probably 2-3 years I struggled. and there was very little other people could really do to help, because like I said, my husband was working. It was me, other than us just staying at home, to be honest, for the most part, or going somewhere where I know they could just do themselves. You know what I'm saying? Like over another friend's house or something like that, or at the mall in a little play area where the kids can let loose. I was just very intentional on making sure I took them to places where they could just wild out, so to speak, and I could just chill and watch them without feeling like I had to have them, under more control. So that would be it for me.
Word.
Well, I will definitely get in. One of the things that I was not expecting and wasn't ready for was social media. When my children came of age during their teenage years, that was when MySpace started taking place and making this boom. And then the building blocks of the whole Facebook community and everything. And the level of access that they had and the attention that it commanded was something that I wasn't really ready for. And so there were a lot of conversations and a lot of things that were happening that I was unaware of, because I really completely didn't understand like how that worked at that particular time. The other part that I definitely wasn't prepared for was at that time when my daughter was becoming of age, when she was in her late, early, mid-adolescent years, I'm going to say probably about 17, 18, in her adolescent years, mental illness had onset within her, but hers was kind of triggered more by her using drugs, and that was marijuana at that particular time. And I really, at the time, which fortunately and unfortunately, I was a mental health clinician. So I looked at the whole situation with a little bit of different scrutiny, you know? And so with the experience of it happening to my daughter, it was definitely very hard for me to process and very hard for me to deal with and adjust that this was my reality at home as opposed to it being that at work. And so with that was a real a struggle for me on that particular end, because I had a 17-year-old daughter that was struggling and going through that with the whole rebellion thing and all of that. And then I had a 15-year-old daughter who was starting to connect to social media and just, you know, getting into boys and just making a lot of these connections and everything. And so it was very overwhelming for me at the time. And, you know, their father, we had divorced like when they were like in grade school and everything. And the husband that I had, you know, my husband, my current husband today, you know, he was there, he was supportive, he was available and everything. But this was, you know, it felt like, even though it wasn't, it felt like for me, it was a struggle that was solely mine, that I had to bear. And that was something that I definitely wasn't ready for, but I made it, and I'm here to tell it.
Word.
I like that. So, Erin, welcome. You had some technical difficulties, but you're here. So, what is the one thing that nobody prepared you for motherhood? What's been the hardest part?
I don't think people are always as honest as they can be when it comes to, you know, parenthood. You know, people want to constantly mention things that are encouraging, of course, naturally, because that's what you want to do. And, you know, it just seems that sometimes, especially as a mother, women are expected to just kind of put everything aside, and not aside, but kind of bury it sometimes is how it feels. Bury it, like have a funeral for it, you know, as if you cannot ever do any of those things again, as if you are burying a certain person and then, you know, becoming this other person. And I don't know, I just refused to take on the parental role in that complete light. I think people don't prepare you for remembering to be yourself. People don't prepare you, you know, they don't prepare you for how to enjoy yourself while you're still enjoying your children. I don't think people, you know, really mention different ways of how you can do that without neglecting yourself or your children. I find that for me, I've been able to find that sense of balance more. You know, I'm a parent of 3. They will be, by the end of the summer, they'll be 13, 9, and 7. And so, and I'm also divorced. I've been divorced now, it could be 3 years officially, but separated 4 years ago. So from age 3 to 9, that was crazy time, you know, trying to figure out how to be myself while being there for them. Because I realized, like, wow, I'm gonna have to double up on this role, you know. And for a while, I did have to kind of like push my own interest to the side somewhat, but in hindsight though, not really. You know, I decided I had to make a decision that while I was picking up the pieces of different things and being a parent, a single mother now, and having children that were also, you know, able to kind of depend on their own interests in their own minds, you know, in their own, you know, agendas, their own sports and their own activities, I can still focus on the things that I enjoy as a person, apart from being a mother. So I would say that, you know, the challenges, none of that really surprised me, like regarding sleeplessness and, you know, all of those sorts of things that come with naturally being a human, taking care of little humans, those natural things, none of that really surprised me that I would be losing sleep. I'm not a big sleeper anyway. Like, you know, I'm kind of an insomniac. But I think people should have a more honest conversation about remembering to enjoy yourself, you know, honestly and genuinely while enjoying your children. I think that's because people will try to kind of guilt you into enjoying yourself, you know, because any moment that you spend not enjoying your children in some sense, if you look like you're enjoying yourself by yourself, then suddenly you look sketchy as a parent. But why should you if you've secured the home front, you know, and making sure that they're taken care of? Why can't you enjoy? And it doesn't necessarily mean you even have to be completely apart from the children in order to, you know, like just enjoy yourself and who you are. For example, for me, my children know that when I'm in the studio, you don't come bother me. That is my sanctuary, and that's my creative space. And there's a certain kind of energy that I want to flow in there, and it can't be chaotic, and it can't be distracting, you know? And so when I mention, you know, like enjoying myself, that means my kids understand those boundaries. When I'm here, you cannot come bother me, because if you do, then the things that you enjoy might get less attention as well. And so that is something I don't have to say anymore. Really, I really don't have to, you know, really say it much anymore. Excuse me, and I'm happy about that because my kids understand and they see the things that come from me being productive in that space, and they realize that it's for a greater purpose, and that I'm not just in there scrolling through Facebook and just avoiding them altogether. They know when I'm at work, I am legit at work, doing something to support all of us. Excuse me. And so that's about it. I don't want to keep rambling.
Oh, that's dope. Yeah, that's really dope. And for the rest of you, how or has it been difficult with balancing your life, your own life, with being a parent? And how do you keep that balanced?
Hey, I just wanted to interject before we moved on from Erin, and I'll let somebody else go. And I was trying to look at your picture, like, is that the Erin? So, the artist Erin, is that you? Is that you?
It is.
Okay. I'm sorry. Y'all, she is so bomb. But I just had to just give her a quick shout out. She is so bomb. And I just wanted to be like, yes, when we talk about this balance we about to get into, I concur and absolutely agree with that. And I'm gonna let somebody else go because some of you guys haven't spoken as much. But I just wanted to get that shout out, but I'll be back.
That's the best. All right, so who wants to take that one? How do you keep that balance?
I'll jump in there and take that. What can I say about balance? Because through life we have to adjust and readjust and readjust. And being a first-time parent at later in life, you know, where you had that interruption, you know, being, you know, 42 with a newborn child is definitely, you have to readjust and rebalance. I never thought that I would, I hadn't planned to have children of my own, but raise my nephews. But having to readjust life, later, with a newborn had me take some step backs, like, ooh, how am I about to do this at this point and at this game in life? And it was, for me to readjust my balance was letting go the control I thought I had, planning for my life and, planning for this, planning for that. And once I learned how to let go what I thought I had, I was able to start over and adjust my life where I needed, it. And, prepare and understand that, okay, now you have to shift focus, because now at this point they're 2 and 13, and the 13-year-old is active in sports. How am I balancing the 2-year-old and the 13-year-old? And, I can't be all at all and be in places at all times, but focus on the priority of, each child, but also understand what I'm capable of doing and understanding I can't control everything, but be able to do what I can in those moments has allowed me to balance. And what is done is not done in that day. I have to be okay with that.
That part, as they say, is being okay with what you don't get done. Yeah, I like that. So I guess, since I'm already talking, I'll go. So for me, the balance is a little bit easier to achieve now, because our kids are 22 and 18. So we have one that's at Job Corps and one that's on her way to graduate, and we're combing through college offers and, trying to narrow down and make a decision. So for me to get the balance of being a mom and just being Lady Bounce has been relatively easy these last couple of years, because they're both on the banana peels to get out the door. So they are pretty, self-sufficient. They say to themselves, they only ask me something that they actually needed, which usually involves money or a ride somewhere, but they can feed themselves now, and they can, pretty much get around and do things for themselves. So I get to have that me time, that mommy time. I DJ once a month now, which is something that, even though the people enjoy it, me DJing is really for me. Like, that is self-care for me, because I love it and I enjoy it. It's something that I've always enjoyed. So now getting back into this hobby that I had, still done when they were kids, because me and my dad used to go DJ all the time. So it was nothing, because they just stay home with Jay. And it was cool. But now to have it where, like, this is just for me, they're on their way out the door, I'm really enjoying myself and enjoying my time now, just being me. I'm able to date my husband. I'm able to go out on sister dates with my friends, and I don't have to worry about, well, who's going to babysit this kid, or where can I take this kid or take that kid, because one's a boy and one's a girl, and their interests were different. So when they needed to be babysat, sometimes they couldn't always go to the same place, because he wanted to hang out with his boy cousins, or she wanted to hang out with my grandma. So those days are over, and I'm so thankful. So now it's easy to get the balance. Like, I am me, and I like it.
Okay, I'm kind of piggybacking Lady Bounce. I'm the same way as far as my household. It's just me. So I have my grandbabies that come over. They're 5 and 6. And my kids I have one in Cincinnati and one here. And so my balance is basically my grandbabies when they come to visit. That's pretty much it. I have my business, and I do what I want to do when I want to do it now. Since I had my children younger, I was in my early 20s when I had them. Now I'm in my mid 40s. And I'm kind of enjoying life with the peacefulness of life. And it's kind of just the balance of me doing what I want to do when I want to do it. I didn't have that peace a few years ago when my children were just trying to figure out their life. They were coming in and out of the home. And at the same time, I was a dean of students where I worked maybe 14, 15 hours a day on my job. Sometimes I even work closer to my job where I could walk to work, because I would get off at 12 o'clock at night. 1 o'clock in the morning because I worked so hard and I didn't understand balance. And I had to figure it out. When I went to the hospital because my blood pressure was high, I figured it out. You have to actually understand your health is more important. Your job will replace you. Put another person in that seat and they won't think nothing of it. So you have to understand that your health is more important. Your family's more important. Then sometimes you have to have that balance in your life. So now that I have that, of course I have it's a little different not having my children in a home. But I do have still the grandbabies that now I can actually spend that time with. But yeah, I do have that balance now. So I'm done.
This is Jamica. One of the things that stood out when Erin was talking to me that I think more mothers, hopefully as women who have learned this, we pass this on to new mothers. But one thing I remember that really frustrated me as a mother when it came to balance was when, so let me backtrack. So one thing, an old nail tech of mine when I was in college told me that was the best wisdom that she ever gave me. She said, make sure that before you do anything, for yourself, so to speak, make sure that the house is in order. Make sure the house is in order. And what she meant, she didn't mean order as in, clothes are cleaned and, everything's done. She meant order in a sense of, it's enough is taken care of for me to do what I need to do for myself. And that was the best advice that she gave me and I wasn't even married, to be honest. I mean, I didn't have children yet. I think I was married, but I don't think we had children yet. And then, but what used to frustrate me is when I would go over to another friend of mine's house and I would just kind of hang out with my friend and we would be, talking and stuff. And her husband would be like, don't you need to get home to cook dinner? Or don't you need to do this, that, and the other? And I would be looking like, I don't know what type of household y'all run, but
we good.
My husband knows how to cook. And he doesn't babysit his children. He's a father. Those are his children. So it's not called babysitting when they're yours. So I think I was blessed to have learned early from other mentors of mine, and even one of my mentors. And I put this out there publicly because her name is Dr. Karen Townsend, and she has a book called I want to say it's The Day I Forgot to Put on Lotion.
It all started when I forgot to put on lotion.
Thank you. It all started when I forgot to put on lotion. And one thing that she shares in her sister conferences annually is the time when she was a mother going through her PhD program. Her children were younger, and she had a nervous breakdown because she was trying to hold it all together. She's, been married for over 20 years, was married at the time, but didn't really know how to ask for the help that she needed, because a lot of times as women, we put all the weight on our own shoulders. And even though we are like, don't y'all see I need help? And I had gotten an attitude before too, even with my own husband. Like, nigga, don't you see? And in my mind, that's what I would say, not to him, but I was saying in my mind, like, don't you see I need help over here? But then the Lord had to show me, like, well, if you're not telling people you need help, Jamica, they don't know that you need help, And if you're feeling a certain kind of way, because I used to battle a lot with seasonal depression, and I even battled that as a mother, with different things as well. Oh, this is a beautiful bridge, y'all. I wish I could turn this around and show you. Sorry. But those things that we struggle with when it comes to balance. And one thing, one of my other mentors, Greg, used to share with me, he said, Jamica, what do you do for yourself? And sometimes we think getting our nails done, getting, the clothes and stuff that we want, that's doing something for ourselves. He said, that's maintenance. He said, that's not doing something for yourself. And I had to really introspect and figure out, what do I do for myself? I love to sleep. I love to nap. But I had to really think, what do I love to do for myself? And so traveling is one thing. hanging out with my girls. So now, fast forwarding to my children being teenagers, I'm doing more of those things for myself without apology and without feeling bad about it. Because I don't believe women have to wait till your child is a full-grown adult before you can enjoy yourself. And it reminds me when you get on the plane and they tell you, in cases of emergency, put the mask on yourself first, and then you can help other people. Well, it's the same thing with motherhood. If you're not taking care of you and you're not happy, whole, and healthy, you're not giving your best self to your children at any time. You're not giving your best self. So that's what I have to say on the work-life balance, motherhood balance, and hopefully more of us get it and we can pass it on to young mothers so that they don't feel guilty about doing those things that are going to make them a more efficient, caring, and loving person, which is taking care of yourself first, not in an abusive way where you're neglecting your household responsibilities, but in a way that's balanced. And that's what I would say on that topic.
I like it. So in keeping with the theme of balance, how do you as a mom, or how did you balance being the hard mom, but yet still being the soft mom? So for me as an educator, I see what's at stake when kids get bad parenting. So like I mentioned before, my kids would do things and they would do things that would be similar to what my students would do, which is what normal, kids do. And I would be on them like, you better not, and don't even think about it, and don't even be looking at it. And then having to realize that I got to pull back some and kind of let them be, who they are, and hope that the things that we've taught them will carry through for the times when I'm not there. So how do you balance that? You better not, but I'm going to let you be exploring, as a mom.
I guess I can chime in and kind of address that a little. So I realized, early on what my kids' interests were. But then again, I started really early with putting them in organized sports and different programs, like at a very early age. So all my kids swim, they've all done at least a few sports, and they have other interests in the arts and whatnot, but they really love their organized sports. And they just love the camaraderie that comes with that. They love winning the awards. They love the after party games and stuff. So when they are not performing at home or at school in a way that they should, then those parties that were promised and all of that time on the field that they're used to getting gets cut short, because I'm really blessed to say that my kids are, well behaved. They love education. And they love participating in all different sorts of activities. And when they do it, they do a really good job. So the idea of them not being able to showcase their talents kills them, And so for me, sorry about the interference, by the way. For me, it helps when I say things like, as a single mom too, I feel like I'm being outnumbered and sometimes ganged up on. So I'm like, do I need to call Coach such and such? Do I need to call, uncle? Do I need to call this person over here? And I let my kids know really plainly, and I say it often. You got to remember that if you come against me, there's a whole army of people that's waiting in case you guys get out of line. And I can call them and contact them at any minute. And those little gifts that you guys are used to getting here and there, all of that can come to an end, all of the playtime and everything, So, and then of course I tell my kids, like, look, and I know we frown upon this often, but I tell them, like, look, I'm a tattletale. If you do something out of line, I'm telling everybody so that they can all, like, it has to be, if it's really big too, I'm like, oh, you done messed up. I'm calling Uncle Philip, I'm calling y'all got like 3 grandmothers, I'm calling all of them to let them know how you've been behaving. And so when they realize, like, oh snap, she's really more than just herself. She really does have the support of all these other people. And when they realize that, they fall in line quickly. Now, I'm hoping that magic will stay true, because my kids are still young. Like, they're 6 and 8 and 12 currently. But I just figured, the whole balance of it all with that part is that they see that even though I really enjoy you know, my time away from work, I still am very invested in my work. And they know that you don't just see me over here playing and enjoying myself and having a good time without putting in major work first. And, you know, so I think that's one thing. They see a lot of accountability with me, a lot. They see lots of accountability with me. And so I think it's just kind of beginning to trickle down.
For me, I think that, as I keep saying over and over again, I was kind of young and my personality is type A alpha. And so I was the mom that was not playing games with you. I didn't have time for the shit. And
yes,
what you saying, and you better check your tone at the door. And all of these friends that's up here in my house, they better make sure they straighten it up after they get up out of here, because I wasn't playing like that. And if I could go back, I think that me being so consistent, not abusive, but so disciplinarian, that it caused my girls to not share what was truly on their minds with me. So they hid a lot of stuff from me. And if I could go back, I think that I would have given them a lot more space to be who they were, and instead of who I expected them to be. And so today I got my grandchildren. That's the upgrade. And so with that, I try to really encourage my children, my daughters, to not be as disciplinarian as I was, to not be as demanding as I was. Because at the end of the day, what that ends up doing is it kind of puts a gap in those relationships and everything. And so now, as a grandmother, I look back and I'm talking to my daughters and they'll go back and be like, Mom, you sure didn't play nobody. And so I was that person that you want me to call you on Chekesha, because she will come up here and deal with you, you know? And so when the kids was out of line, they would be sent to my house. And I was able to command a respect with that level of authority and discipline. However, like I said, at the end of the day, perhaps I may have damaged some of the relationship with being so straightforward and honest, and in the way that I wanted my to come across. Yes, ma'am.
I feel that though. I feel that honesty you have. I'm sorry for chiming in, but I totally feel you on that. I try to check myself in that area as well. And you know, one thing I wanted to say this before I forget. One thing I try to do that I did not see much of growing up. You will rarely find this in an old school Black family. You won't see adults apologize to children. I apologize to my children when I can. Like when it comes to me, I'm like, I'm sorry for saying that. It got out of hand. I was really upset. I was tired. I was hungry, or I was, you know, this, that, and the other. And I would like it if I wasn't pushed there, though. Now that you know this is something that could, you know, that is on my straight up no list, lack of tolerance for it. I don't want to go there anymore. So let's try to work with each other so that that doesn't happen again. And I'll continue to check myself, and I apologize for my reactions. But I don't really recall a time as a child where my parents really were wrong and would apologize, you know. And if it was like not really an apology, like their way of doing it, but never really openly, you know. I think that's a really difficult thing to do, even though I do it. But I try to let them see, because how else are they going to know what it means to be humble and what it means to kind of like, you know, apologize properly, you know. And then if I don't ever do that with them, then they'll grow up thinking that everything adults do and say is correct, even if it's incorrect, you know. So I don't know, but I'm sorry, I digress.
No, you're fine. As somebody who grew up with a mom who was a mix of how she was brought up and a mix of how her mother, which is my grandma, was brought up. Yeah, we got apologies, but they was more like, well, I'm sorry I beat your ass, but you shouldn't have did what you did that made me so mad. And I'm like, well, is that an apology? Like, what are we doing here? So so I definitely, you know, feel that like there were some apologies, but it was more of like, you made me act like that, and I'm sorry that I might have, you know, hit you 5 times instead of just the 2 that you really deserved. Like, but it wasn't a, you know, a straight up like, hey, I'm sorry, let's work on this, let's talk about this. My mom was you know, there were 4 of us, but she also was a stepmom to 5 other kids. So there wasn't a lot of room with you know, 8, 9 kids in the household where there was a lot of, you know, huggy, apology, after school special moments happening. There was not that. And then I had an older brother who would always do stuff that would get us all in trouble. And my mom never took the time to investigate who actually did it. All 4 of us was bent over the couch. And by the time it was all said and done, we all ready to jump him. Like, why you just didn't tell mama you did it and saved us all the butt whooping? So yeah, there was a lot of that.
I would say, I'm sorry. I would say, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Jamica.
Oh, okay. My bad. When it comes to being firm, I'm definitely a firm mother. But I'm thankful that the Lord has shown me how to, you know, lighten up a little bit and really, because I always thought to myself, I definitely want my children to be able to tell me stuff. I have 2 boys. I pray for my boys. I am the only, as I told my husband, because we have boy dogs as well, I said I'm the only bitch in this house. That's how I like it. I'm the only one. And I like it that way for several reasons. I didn't want a mini me. And so raising boys, I definitely want them to be able to come home and tell me what's going on at school, what's going on with their friends. And they do that, you know, whether or not they have a girlfriend, and, you know, if their day was going, I always make it a priority. Even though I'm very firm, I'm also, you know, very nurturing as well. So when they come home, you know, I always ask them, you know, 9 times out of 10, unless I'm in a meeting through teleworking now, how their day went, you know, what was good about it. If they tell me, oh, it was good, it was fine, what was good about it, you know, or it was bad, it was terrible, what was terrible about it. And even most people know me, I'm very direct with my children. So if you do something that was, you know, you were showing your butt, you know, or you were wrong, I'm gonna tell you were wrong, how you could have approached the situation differently. I don't think, you know, especially with my youngest, he'll always come home like, and they're in the car so they can hear me. He'll always come home and he'll be like, oh, this teacher, she frustrated me. She could have let me walk through the grass to get to the car during pickup. And, you know, I'll be like, well, not technically, Malachi. You need to go the way they tell you to go, because they're telling you that for safety reasons. She's not trying to be irritating. I said, I think you're being a little overly sensitive about the situation, because you were wrong. You need to listen to her, because she's looking out for your safety. So, you know, you can be firm. And I wholeheartedly believe in apologizing to children, because at the end of the day, we have to show them the same respect that we expect them to show us. And even if I'm wrong about something, if I misjudge something, usually I'll take them back, talk to them one-on-one, and apologize for my actions, and let them know, like Erin was saying, you know, if you do less of this, you'll get less of this. So like my kids used to always tell me, I hate when you yell at us, you know, and I hate that. I was like, well, let me tell you what I hate. I hate when I'm talking to you just like this as an adult, and I'm giving you your respect, and you sitting here and you're lying to my face. And I tell them, as a believer, I said, my level of discernment is high. I already know the answer to the question I'm about to ask you. But if you continue to look at me and lie to my face, you're lucky you don't get punched. When I know the answer to the question. And I tell them all the time, if you tell me the truth the first time, the consequences of you lying over and over again only escalates the anger inside and the octave level of my anger when I yell at you.
Yes.
because I know the answer. So stop playing with me. If you didn't learn by now, God knows what you did, and sometimes he tells me. So that's kind of how I roll with it. And you know, my husband and I, we complement each other when it comes to the discipline aspect. But I definitely agree, because we make a lot of mistakes as parents, and we carry on traits that were used on us with our parents that are toxic. And you have to realize that, you know, even though you guys, quote unquote, turned out to be functioning adults, you are functioning adults with trauma that you need to deal with. And it comes out in how you interact with your children if you never deal with that stuff. Because there were a lot of things that we experienced as children that we didn't realize that wasn't healthy, that wasn't whole. And inadvertently and subconsciously, you are projecting that onto your own children and even, your spouses and your friends, because you don't realize that that was actually damaging. And so, that's kind of how I approach with the firmness of motherhood.
Word up.
All right, LaShonda. Yeah.
Let's see. I learned a lot from my parents. My parents, they just celebrated their 49th anniversary. I, however, have been divorced for 24 years. So I brought my kids up as a single parent. And like I said, I have two girls. One is 23 and one is 25. I had a heavy hand in how my discipline was with them. I think it was more how my dad, he raised me to be very independent and to do things on my own and don't expect a man to really do it for me. And if I had any questions, come to him. And my mom, on the other hand, was very, had me in ballet classes, be prissy. And so I kind of had that, and to be a mom-like, and then my dad kind of that male-like, and very firm. So I was like, okay, so I'm going to treat my kids like had that man and the female version. And so in growing up, I had a very, since I had that, I was also in ROTC in school. So that put me as I want to be this ahead of everything in my mindset. And so I taught my kids in a very military, discipline in a kind of a military style way. Mm. It was kind of firm a little bit. I would have them in front-leaning rest positions when they decided to act up. We would go running. It was kind of a way like that if they decided to act up. Because I like that way of teaching, and I just like that way. And so they respected me and I respected them. And I told them, when we go out in the world, you are to show me every respect in every way. You are to show your elders respect in every way, your peers respect in every way. So that is how we just were, and as a group, and they knew that that's how it's supposed to be. And to this day, when they're out, even their kids, people always say, oh, your kids are so mannerable. I barely ever see kids so mannerable. And, that makes me feel good, because I'm like, okay, then maybe I did something right, and it's being passed down. But it was also passed down from my parents, They may have not liked it sometimes, but they do tell me sometimes, like, Mama, I'm like, you're doing a great job, baby. They was like, because of you, Mama, So at least it makes me feel good in that way. But yeah, they probably didn't like it at that time, but they also, I've learned that they're passing it on to the way that they're bringing up their children. But I mean, it may not be the right way for everybody. And sometimes it is kind of, I still kind of bring it in that way, because I even had a belt around my neck when I went to my granddaughter's school not too long ago, because she just started to act up. And so I was like, okay, you decided to act up. So I came to the daycare with a belt around my neck, and I said, are you going to act up again? No, Nana. Okay. And I didn't do anything. It was just the fact that she understood what that meant, with the belt around my neck. And I walked out to school, and she hasn't had any problems since. I'm just a firm believer in a little bit of showing the discipline. It just worked in my family.
Word up. Now, to me, I know that motherhood is probably the most hardest job that could be on the earth, because you have to not, like Shauna said earlier, you have to be mother to not only your own kids, but the kids in the neighborhood, your nephews and nieces. So with all that, what do each one of you do for self-care? Go ahead, Erin.
I have to leave soon, so I'll chime in.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. For self-care, it's funny, but for the podcast, I was working out. I like to work out every other Sunday if I can. But you guys can hear me, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure. That is something that is kind of non-negotiable for me. My children, sometimes they try to sneak and say, "Ooh, can we come to the gym with you?" And I'm like, look, you have your moments where you guys get to do recess. You have an area at home where you guys can work out. You have your bikes. You have your things that you guys do. But this is something that I must do for myself for multiple reasons. I got to live by what I call the airplane philosophy, which is what Jamica was referring to earlier. Put the mask on yourself, help yourself, and then help the person next to you. So, exercise has always been something that I've always enjoyed for the all-around benefit of it. But I took it up a notch last year when I decided I would never miss a week at the gym. Even if all I did was went one day that week, if I could at least go one day every week, then I know I'm committed. And sometimes it was only one day if the week was heavy, if it was snowy. Other times it was like 5-6 days, but I always went every single week. And so that consistency now is something that I still refuse to break and hopefully never will. And everyone can't always get out to the gym. There were some times I had to use child watch for my kids. There was other times I had to, wait until they were at school, and I was at work, and I would have to use my lunch break in order to get that exercise in. But I always would find some time to get it in. And now that they're older, it's becoming easier to do. So I do all sorts of things though for self-care. I like to crochet. Crafting, as a creative person, I'm really blessed to say that the work is also therapy. Quite often it is. And it's a place of solace for me. And just meditation, mindful meditation, guided meditation, sometimes prayer, sometimes the Tibetan singing bowls, it just really depends on what I feel like I need in that moment. But those are just some of my favorite examples of self-care. And baking, I love baking. I'm a hell of a baker, so I like to do that for self-care too. So, but I am sorry that I have to head out soon and get back to my kids. But thank you again for having me.
Thank you for coming on. Thank you. You too. So Jamica, what do you do for self-care?
I guess I would say the biggest thing I do care is I usually go out to I eat. I love to take naps. That's one of my main things. I love to take naps. I love to watch a really good movie, even if it's something I've seen 10 times. That's I love that. I'll go in my office and I'll shut the door and lock it, and I tell the kids, if you need anything, ask dad, text me. If it's important, y'all can come in. If not, leave me be. And I love to eat, so I'll go out with my friends, either me and another person or a group of friends. I really just like to eat good foods. I love to eat good food. That's really good. That's all.
That's dope. LaShonda, what's your favorite thing to do for self-care?
It's usually just on Sundays. I take a day, and it's relaxation for me. It's taking care of my hair. I have my facial day, my hair day, my feet day, and it's just me. I don't do anything else. I don't do any work, even though my work now I love it because it's just crafts and it's, things that I love to do. But it's just getting in the kitchen and making up a new concoction for my hair or my skin. And I love doing that. So it's just a day about listening to music and having a glass of wine and just taking care of me. So, yep.
Word up. Over to Chekesha. We've talked about this before, so tell us again, what do you do for self-care?
All of those things that LaShonda was just saying, but I also want to include the power, the magical power of the bath. I am a fanatic for taking baths. I absolutely love doing that. I call it bubble bath and bossa nova, the B&B routine right there. And just nice bossa nova music to mellow out with right there. And I'm telling you, that is all I need in life. Another thing that I do is I like to just turn off all of the television sets that's in the house, get rid of the phone, put it in another room, and just really curl up to a really good book and just sit back and chill. Or I'll get around some trees. There's some type of life healing magic when you get around some trees. If you're taking a walk in nature or just sitting out at the park or even in your backyard, being around some trees, for me, there's healing in that. So those are the things that I do. Some of them.
Word up. I love it. Yamika.
Nope. Can you hear me?
Yep, there we go.
Yeah, we can hear you.
All right, I got into a spot where I'm quiet. I got a live house over here. I got my nieces in over for the weekend, so I was trying to find a quiet spot because I'm over there. But anyhow, I daily self-care, as most of you know, with yoga, meditation, and prayer. And in addition to that, I take 2 hours a day for myself. It can be straight back to back or collectively, 1 hour here, 1 hour there. And that is required. And my household knows that that's a requirement for me. If it's too live in the house, they know I'm about to go to my car and I'm gonna lock the doors and I'm in for that hour or two. Or I may drive around to a parking lot and chill in my car and self-care and stillness and silence, breathing, and that's it. Weekly self-care, every Friday I end the work week with baths. I get my essential oils out. Sometimes I can have a glass of wine if I can take it. my candles and whatnot. And I end my week with a nice hot steam bath. I love meeting up with girlfriends for adult conversation. I make sure that I laugh daily, and I've added that to my self-care regime, is laughing daily. I call my sisters on a group call or a group chat, and we just laugh because sometimes we forget that part is part of self-caring. I do monthly massage or monthly water float, and that's how I self-care.
Word up. Now you got to explain, what's this water float?
Oh, my good dear friend Jamica went on a tail float with me. You're in a float pod, and you just float in this pod and just let yourself go and relax. Look up tail float place down towards the Cincinnati area, more towards Liberty Township, or look up gravity float, floating in a pot of water, and you're just relaxing. You know, it's very important for me and flowing. But yeah, look it up if you want to find a new way to self-care and don't mind being in water. Try it out. You might like it.
Yeah, that sounds dope. I might definitely have to check that out. You know, we are a water family. Both of our kids were born in water, so we love being at the water. We just recently, I think, we go to the beach 3 times last year. I drove 20 hours to the beach 3 times last year. So yeah, definitely love water. Babe, let the people know what you do for self-care.
Oh, well, it's always, you know, the same, but it's changed now a little bit. Definitely music. This once a month DJ gig has really like ignited something back in me that I actually thought that when I lost my dad that I had lost forever. And so to be able to pick it back up and carry on the legacy has just been, it's been amazing. Like it has done something. It's just done something for me that I didn't expect. Like, I always kind of thought in song when I be talking to my friends and they would say stuff and I would, you know, sing a song lyric or something. They'd be like, you always do that. I'm like, I know, I can't help it. I was born this way. But really being able to DJ and play music for people and bring the joy to other people has just been like the greatest boost to my self-care regimen, along with the, you know, just taking the time for myself, having some snacks when I want it, or, you know, if there's a food that I'm craving and I just go get. Or the other day I actually when I came home from work and nobody was home, and so I didn't even turn on the TV, and I just sat in the silence. I put my phone down, I didn't look at anything. I like stared at the wall, and I could have swore the wall was moving because I had just never looked at the wall that way before. I've been living here 20 years and never noticed this spot on the wall, and it's probably been here the whole time that we've been here. So just taking those moments to just kind of shut down and shut the world out, that was incredible. On top of, you know, my music regimen.
Dope. For people who don't know, and most of the people on here from the Dayton area, and you talk about the legacy continue. For people that don't know, your dad was a legendary DJ in the city, Fred the Boss from WDAO fame. So God bless the dead. You know, so it's dope seeing you be able to continue on that legacy. And the people love the once a month DJ gig at the Barrel House. So if you're in the Dayton area on the third Friday of each month, Lady Bounce DJs at the Barrel House from 8 to 12. It's a dope time because it's a dope mixture of music. It's not just hip hop. It's not just rap. It's a mixture of everything. So it's real dope. For me, my go-to always is walking meditation. I love to just walk, get out there and walk, whether it be on a track or in nature or whatever, just throwing on some jazz and just walking and just zoning out. I've picked up another one lately since I've been working on a new album for like the last 6 months. I've been freestyling again every day, every morning before I go to work. So that's been, you know, that's kind of let your subconscious just do the thinking. You turn your own brain off and just let the deeper self do its thing. So that's been real dope. And before we get out of here, of course, you know, we got to get into my favorite part of the show. Doom, 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 doom. Brain science.
All right, so we've all heard the term before, mommy brain, but did you know that it is a real thing? When a woman is pregnant and is preparing to bring life into the world, her brain actually does change. One of the biggest changes that we experience to our brain is our brains prepare us to be nurturers. Our brains prepare us to protect this young life that we are about to be receiving, as well as protecting our own selves as we prepare to experience the ups and downs, the highs and lows and failures and successes of being a mom, because it's something that we've never been through before. So, mommy brain is a phrase used to refer to the cognitive changes that a new mother experiences after giving birth. New mothers describe this change in a way that they think and feel, such as feeling focused or sharp. And in some cases, you feel a little less focused and a little less sharp. You feel like you are, you know, having a continuous episode of brain fog, because we really are entering into new territory. So I'm gonna give you some quick tips on how to deal with the mommy brain. As your kids get older, your brain changes again as they need you less, and you have to transform the way you think of motherhood because they don't need you as much when they can think, act, talk, and feed themselves. So, mommy brain and symptoms, how to get through them. Give yourself a break. Being a mom is hard work, and there can be a lot of pressure to be perfect. If you are feeling less focused, it can be tempting to be hard on yourself. However, criticizing yourself is not going to help. Instead, remember that mommy brain is a normal experience for many women, and it changes due to your hormonal fluctuations throughout the month and depending on where your children are in their lives versus where you are in your life. So, again, give yourself a break, give yourself some grace. Keep a notebook nearby to help you deal with forgetfulness that you may experience as a mom as we try to do too much. Keep a to-do list. I keep a pad of sticky notes in my pocket, and I am the sticky note queen. It goes on the sticky note. As soon as I finish whatever it is, I throw the sticky note away and I get another one. I do the same thing again because I forget stuff. I got a lot going on. As women, we tend to have a lot going on in general, and as moms, as we keep up with our schedule, our husband's schedules and our children's schedule, it is easy to forget stuff. It's okay. Again, give yourself grace, write it down. Also, keep a notebook to journal the highs and lows of motherhood. We tend to, when people talk about like giving birth, you really don't ever remember how much pain you were in when you gave birth. But it was a painful experience physically. We tend to look at those little babies' faces and go, oh, you're so wonderful. I'm so glad you're here. You forget you was in labor for 400 hours until they do something that makes you mad. And you go, wait a minute, I almost died trying to bring you in the world. And this is how you repay me. So we tend to forget those moments. So if you journal your way through it, they will make for great laughs as your kids get older. When you remember those, those Cosby Show moments, as they say. So rely on to-do lists. Create a to-do list and make sure you put yourself at the top of that to-do list. So as we're managing the schedules of our household, we have to make sure that we are adding ourselves to that list. You should be at the top of your to-do list every day. Even if it's just 5 minutes. Some of us don't have the luxury of taking, spa days every day or what have you. But if you take 5 minutes every day for you at the top of your to-do list, it's going to make that mommy brain lessen a little bit as you learn to relax. Here's a big one that we all struggle with, that I know I struggle with, is getting extra sleep. Jamica says she takes those naps. She ain't got it to do. I'm turning off the phone. Y'all kids better go over there. Way over there, because I'm taking a nap. Get some sleep. And it's okay. Take it on a Saturday. If you're not doing nothing, take a nap. Come home from work, take a nap. Put a sign on the door. Tell them kids it's peanut butter and jelly in there. Y'all better figure it out. There's some noodles in there too. If you just like noodles, that's your thing. Have you some noodles. You take a nap. Exercise. So if you follow Yamika on Facebook, and if you don't, you should be following her 20-minute yoga videos where she's stretching it out. Those have been immensely wonderful. She's also on Instagram. But I watch her videos. I do some stretching. I don't do a lot of yoga because I usually have time. But exercise, move that body. That helps your brain be more active, helps your brain to be more focused. Then exercise your brain. Pull out some arts and crafts or some hobby that you used to do that you don't do anymore. Paint something, write a story, write a book. You never know, by the time you write these little quips every day, you got a whole book at the end of the year. Now you got something you can also publish and make some money off of, possibly. Who knows? Here's a big one that I know we struggle with as women in general, but ask for help. When you are overwhelmed, if your children are having a moment where you are not sure how to navigate this new territory or this new issue, ask somebody who knows more than you to help you out. Call on that village of those people that you trust, that you've had around. Call Auntie Chekesha and say, look here, your niece is over here acting like a whole fool and I need you to get her together before you explode or before you reach your breaking point. If you're having a day, do like Jamica said, hey, can you sit with your kids? Because I gotta go. I need a break. So drop them kids off on their daddy. I'm sorry. I don't really do that to Jay, but I will. And I have. Number 8, take some time to recharge yourself. Again, that's that self-care piece. Do something that's just for you, that doesn't involve you sharing your time, energy, or money with anybody else other than yourself. Here's a big one. Focus on the positives. Being a mom is the greatest joy. Focus on those things that your children are now doing that they got from you. Or when you sit back and you listen to your children talk to each other and you hear you coming out of their mouths. Focus on those positive moments, those happy mommy moments. Like I did that. So for me right now, having one kid at Job Corps and another kid about to graduate, I'm brushing off my shoulders like, hey, I have 2 grown children that are going to be self-sufficient. And that's only because of me and my husband and what we've done for them. So I'm all smiles over here. Like, come on, I'm ready for it. And last but not least, the most important tip for being a mom is to be patient. Be patient with yourself. Be patient with your children. They are not perfect. You don't want them to be perfect because then people are going to be like, you're weird. So we don't want that. We want to be patient with ourselves. We want to be happy and loving. We want them to be happy and loving. And that can only happen if you allow them to have grace to be who they are and trust that what you've told them and taught them is going to shine through. Be patient with yourself when you don't always get it right. because maybe we're not supposed to get it all right. Maybe your motherhood struggles are going to be what helps another mother make it through.
Very well said.
Word up. That's dope. I like that a lot. And well, once again, we want to thank you all for coming and being a part of this talk about motherhood. Like Jamica said, putting this information out there, hopefully it helps the next generation mothers be able to navigate a little better. Also, before we get out of here, I want everybody to go around with the three that are still left and talk about your businesses. LaShonda has a new business that she's into, and I want people to know about it. So go ahead and tell the people about that.
Okay, my business is called Black is Beautiful Boutique. It is downtown across from Wheat Penny, 508 Wayne Avenue, in downtown Dayton. So please come visit me. You can also look me up on Instagram, Black is Beautiful Boutique. So it's a small store and it's within a store. The main store is called Curve by Design. And then I'm inside of that store. So yes, please come see me. So I sell tumblers and t-shirts. So Black Love t-shirts, just anything positive and all about Black is Beautiful.
I love it.
Word up.
Awesome.
Okay, so let the people know how people can get in touch with you and about your services.
Absolutely. I am also known as the Pretty Priestess. I hold a podcast. We talk about empowering our self-image. We raise and elevate consciousness so that we can interact a lot better. I'm the author of this book here, Holistic Appeal, which is all about taking that sexual energy and not just turning it into a sexual thing, but making it more of a creative outlet so that you can connect to the greatest version of yourself. And so I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook, and I'm also able to, you can find me at prettypriestess.com.
And where can the people get that book at? Is that on the website too?
Oh, absolutely. I think I do have a link on there. If not, I'm gonna put it on there, but it's on Amazon. It's in hard copy, it's in paperback and ebook as well. So there's that, and then, a host of other goodies that I have available there, but you can find all of that information on the website.
Word. And what's the book called again?
This book is called Holistic Appeal.
Word up. Word up. Yamika, tell the people how they can get in touch with you to come do some yoga in the park or wherever you're doing it at.
Oh, yes. My name is Yamika Leeper Stevens of YLS Fitness and Exercise Coaching, yoga extraordinaire, and guide to your breaths. All right. You can follow me on Instagram, Facebook. You can @ YLS Coaching for either one or connect directly to me with Yamika Leeper Stevens. I am at various places, so you probably couldn't have an excuse not to connect with me. I'm especially approaching the warm months. Right now, I am at Epiphany Massage Therapy Studios, doing yoga on the 2nd and 4th Saturday of each month at 9 a.m. On Mondays, I am at Royal Grand Spa and Wellness for Mondays at 10 a.m. and 6:30 p.m. If you want to connect with me one-on-one, I do private, single, individual practicing and small group coaching. This summer is all about being outside, connecting with the earth. I'm all about earthing, getting your feet to the ground, connecting with outside, letting that sun hit the face and absorbing all that natural vitamin D that we all so need. So look forward to seeing me more. I've connected with other small businesses in the city. So look out for yoga on the yard. We're going to be outside on the yard, and other community parks as well. So if you're looking for some practicing in yoga, connecting with yourself, mind-body connection, I am your girl. I am your guide to simply breathe.
Word up. And you can find us wherever you find your favorite podcast. We are also on Facebook, IG, and Twitter, Anchor, Spotify, Apple Music, Apple Podcasts. And that's our show for today. We want to thank these ladies again for coming and having this conversation with us, and hopefully it will help you if you're a mother or you were a mother, and your kids are grown, or if you're just going into motherhood. Hopefully this will resonate with you and be able to help guide you through that situation. I'm your boy Picket Fence.
And I'm your girl, Lady Bounce. If you miss me DJing on the third Friday of every month at Barrel House, which I don't know why you would do that to yourself, but if you should deprive yourself of great music in that way, you can look up all my playlists on Spotify. Just go to Spotify and look up Lady Bounce. And after every set, the very next day, the playlist is posted so you can catch a vibe or keep the vibe going. So yeah, I like it. But I'm Lady Bounce. He's Picket Fence. We out of here.
Peace.
Thank you.